moment for a panel discussion on the theme, Building a Legacy and Generational Wealth Through Financial, Estate, and Gift Planning. I believe that my stewards in the house are helping with the arrangements upstage. So until it is done, I will not invite anybody. But we're going to just set the pace so you all appreciate what is going to happen here in the next 45 minutes. That is where the tough questions, all right? The difficult questions that we ask ourselves. Why my friend likes the sound of insurance but does not own one? Why my friend likes the sound of a will but yet is scared to own one? Why do we all like the fact that we have money in the bank or investment policy, yet perhaps we've not even gone to ask for how we can start an investment plan? And a whole lot more. This is the forum where all of these issues will be discussed. So if you're ready, put your hands together for yourselves. Put your hands together. Yes. So we'll still repair it. So before we start, let me just give you a clue of who will be joining me up here and why. So I would have here with me two legal practitioners, and it's important that we have two. Are there two? Yeah, we have two. Yes, because they will be giving us that in-depth legal understanding on why all of these financial decisions matter legally, so you can be legally correct. And also I have someone within the securities aspect. So when it comes to investment, when it comes to insurance, pensions, we're all looking so nice this morning. Who thinks about pension by this time? No, I mean, who does that? There's shawarma in it. Yes, and a whole lot more. And there's also someone here within the insurance space who will help us understand, appreciate insurance. Why must you be insured? I learned a footballer has insured the leg, and we are still walking around not insuring our legs. In fact, we will appreciate insurance a whole lot more. So let me just invite the very first speaker, a lawyer, legal practitioner, Insia Akwete and Co., Mr. Kennedy Riafe Efa Esquire. Put your hands together for him as he makes his way up to sit. Yes, thank you, sir. He has sat down. The next person is also a partner, P. Opoku Law Firm, Miss Dorothy Isinam Tete. Put your hands together for Miss Dorothy. Sure. Next is also a very, very prolific name within the area of securities. Business Development Manager, Fidelity Securities Limited, Mrs. Mimi Anane Apia. Put your hands together for Mrs. Mimi. And last but not the least is my very own big brother, the General Manager, Metropolitan Pensions Trust, Mr. Isaka Ibrahim. Put your hands together for him as he makes his way up here. Good. And I am glad to represent you all on this very important forum so that your issues are channeled to us. Thank you. So I'll have one here, and then we'll have one also here. Okay, no, one should be here. I'll pass mine. Sorry. All right, so I sit here. Are we all good? So let's do this one last time. Put your hands together for us all. Very well. So if you joined this morning's session you would appreciate that there is a gap of knowledge that we need to make available to our young people, young professionals within the industry of health, academia, and a whole lot more. We need to appreciate these financial elements, insurance, wills, and a whole lot more, because we also have our own biases and perceptions. You can't blame us for it. Society has made us create that kind of stigma in our minds. So we want to begin with the very first matter. Within the next 45 minutes, 60 minutes, we will be talking in-depthly about this matter. The very first one is to just have a brief overview of how things have been for you within your various spheres of work and what's trending. What's trending, right? What's trending, right? Yeah, so what's trending within the field of Mr. Kennedy?
I guess what is trending is the majority becoming minority and minority becoming majority. Well, we've just started a new legal year. For us in the legal fraternity, October is our new year. We start a new legal year every October and end in July. And then August, September serves as our vacation. So we just started a new legal year. I'm looking forward to so many good things. And it's good to begin my year with this opportunity to talk about financial literacy, to talk about estate planning, gifts, and like Daniel said, the youth, to engage the youth and impact. So I'm happy to be here, and we are ready to share. What do you know? Yeah.
Close to you. Let's say from you, I know he has said something very unique, yeah? Say something different. What's happening?
Hello. So for us lawyers, 2025 has begun, and as I was seated, I just realized a program my St. Rose's old students had earlier on this year, where we invited Peter to speak on financial planning. In fact, when I got here and saw the person, I knew I had seen him somewhere. So I was texting my other executives and asked them, the guy who came, is he called Peter? And they were like, yes. I was like, wow, the world is very small.
He's the one.
Very, very small. So I'm so glad to be here.
Nice.
And I'm ready to deliver.
Sure. Thank you. Mimi, what's happening?
It's cool. Yeah, so I mean, it's almost been 2 years post DDP, that's Domestic Debt Exchange Program. The economic challenges still persist, though not as scary as it used to be. And as an industry, we are trying to recover because we were hit so hard. Not only did people lose money, but investor confidence is terribly low. Of course, there's a gold coin that was introduced by the Bank of Ghana, even though they are not a regulator, since we are in the securities industry and it involves some kind of investments. That's a new thing. That represents the fact that now investors are looking for alternatives, whereas what people only wanted to hear was Government of Ghana securities in the past, because as Ghanaian, we like guaranteed returns. Now people are more open, to other investment options other than what we were used to because of what we saw. So that's a good thing. That's an opportunity for us to innovate despite the difficult times we find ourselves in. And I'm excited to be here to share my knowledge.
Splendid. Mr. Ibrahim. Yeah, he has a microphone, sure.
Yeah, thank you. I'm also very excited to be here. In our space, thankfully, the government concluded the domestic debt exchange program with the Eurobond holders. So it started to build some confidence in the investment community. in my space, the pension space has not been easy, particularly because, government didn't want to come there, and at the end of the day, they came there and sort of dampened people's spirits in the pension space. But gradually we are recovering, and we are hoping that government will honor their commitment in 2026, 2027, as it promised, and that's what we are looking forward to. And of course, I'm also excited to be here, seeing everyone, and sharing our insights and thoughts as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And as we kickstart, I will need you all to put your hands together for our speakers again. Yes, they have shared with you what is happening. And that is a clear way to start the whole program. Now let's begin with the whole issue of financial legacy. You look at the faces of the nice people over here, and we talk about financial legacy. We know what comes to mind. Skyscrapers, mansions, cars, and a whole lot more. Legacy. How do we demystify this whole term of financial legacy, and how do we practically use estate, gift planning, and other important instruments to realize this?
For me, when we talk about a person's legacy, I look at it as consisting of three major things. The reputation. In Akan we say Edin Bena Wenya. Then you talk about impact. How has the person impacted those around him and society in general? Then the third one is the estate. For me, this is what forms a person's legacy. Now, the reputation and the impact stands, as against not as against, but they are on one side, and you have the estate. The estate is where the financial legacy is. So when we talk about financial legacy, we are not looking at money per se. We are referring to a person's estate consisting of everything the person owns by way of property. So it includes the monies, it includes the houses, the land, investments, personal properties that you have in the house and all that. So for me, that is the financial legacy. What consists of, what is in the estate is the financial legacy. Yes.
Let's see from Dorothy, what's your perspective to this issue of financial legacy, and how do we use these existing instruments to achieve it, in your perspective?
So I look at financial legacy being your wealth, your assets, property, movable and immovable property that you devise or leave behind for your beneficiaries. And to leave such things behind, you need documents or you need a procedure to leave them behind. So if you are wealthy, you have mansions, you have shares, you have whatever. Same must be passed down to beneficiaries. And these documents bring certainty. So when you have these documents like a will or a trust to pass down these financial legacies to beneficiaries, it prevents confusion at your death, or it prevents uncertainty on who exactly should have what. So I believe documents like wills and trusts make things simpler and make certainty sure to everybody.
Sure. No, you made very bold statements. Documents, money. I'm looking at my friends' faces in the house. I'm like, it's a huge task. Oh, Mimi, you are coming from a security point of view. Tell us your perspective.
Okay, so I think the lawyers have defined financial legacy. For me personally, financial legacy is very important because I do not want to pass on and see my children start from scratch. There definitely has to be something that they are building on. And it doesn't even need to be just my kids, whoever I believe I should pass on these assets to. And as a person, it encourages me to do more. Some people are not encouraged to put in more because me were other people will enjoy. But for me, it actually encourages me to do more because I feel like in this side of the world, we don't do a lot when it comes to that. So it's like every generation is starting again, starting all over again. Whereas in other places, your parents leave something to you. At least where to sleep may not be a problem. You are now figuring out like how to build on whatever they left. And it's not just about leaving assets, for your kids, because if you don't leave the right knowledge, they would also mess up everything you've worked on. So whilst you're working hard, you're building these assets, creating wealth, putting in place the plans to make sure that it's not your auntie in the village who takes the properties because you don't want her to. Also making sure that whoever you are leaving the properties to is knowledgeable enough to manage and improve on what you've done. So that 100 years after you're gone, we can say that somebody started this and is still, there.
And we'll have Mr. Ibrahim's perspective as well to this matter.
Yeah, thank you. So for me, I see financial legacy in three phases, i.e. successfully building wealth, maintaining or sustaining it, and then passing it on to the next generation. But the financial legacy is not also just about wealth, because many a times we've seen instances where monies or assets or wealth has been passed down to generations and they've just disappeared. And so once you are passing on the asset and the wealth, as Mimi said, try to pass on the knowledge as well. Try to pass on the values as well. Try to pass on the principles as well. And finally, try to pass on the discipline of ensuring that the asset or the legacy you've left behind will be maintained for the next generation. So I see financial legacy, as I said, in three phases. And when you're passing it on, you should ensure that all these things are passed on to the next generation as well. Thank you.
All right. And this one actually starts with you. One of the, I would say, outline effects of our very impoverished economical experience is because of generational debts and not wealth. And so many people grow up and then you are working harder to pay off debts incurred by a father or grandfather a whole lot more, and not the wealth that you can also enjoy and blow. My friend would say blow the cash. The question is, how can you advise? How can you advise families, individuals here who are looking forward to start families, to take steps in building generational wealth and not generational debts?
Thank you. So it all starts with the basics, right? It all starts with the basic, and the basic is planning. I mean, we've heard severally from other speakers that when we fail to plan, we are planning to fail, right? So the basic is that make sure you have a plan once you intend to build a financial legacy. And so once you have that plan, then it gives you the guidance, it gives you the principle, it gives you the blueprint to create the wealth that you want to create. Once you are building it, there's something that a lot of us in this country or a lot of us in this side of town also miss, and that is protecting the wealth we have built. Insurance is something that nobody wants to hear, right? But it is very important because how many times have we heard an uncle pass away and the children are not going to school anymore, right? How many times have we heard like a shop has caught up or has caught fire, and that is the end of the wealth in the family, right? So once we are building and maintaining, one important aspect is to protect that particular wealth you are building, and that is where insurance comes in. And I believe that once you're able to put in the plan and maintain it and protect it, you're able to build a financial legacy that will last the test of time. Thank you.
Thank you. You can put your hands together for that if you appreciate the feedback. And let's go to you, Dorothy. So in this case, we're actually thinking, so what are some of the estate and gift planning strategies that we can adopt or we can get to know that can help us, each and everyone here, to be a generational thinker, passing wealth down and not the other way around? What are some of the ways we can adopt?
Okay, some of the ways we can adopt in having our legacies passed on is by, you can use a gift, writing it down that this gift goes to this particular person, and also setting up trusts. That is something we don't do in this side of the world. I think I've only done one for a testator who died.
Oh.
And he stated who should be, he was setting up an educational fund. And he stated who should be the trustee and who monies from the trust should go to or should go to their benefit. And then we can have wills to state who should have what. One thing I've also noticed is that most Ghanaian companies don't have any succession plan. They start the company, they think their child should be the next in command. They don't even train the child to be able to step in the shoes of the father or whoever and still think he's my child, so I'm leaving this company to my child. So we have to work on our succession plans. It may not always be that your child should be the one to succeed you, but your company must live beyond that. So you have to train others. If you also don't want to go and have your legacy being shared by some people who do not know how you and your wife and your children suffered to raise it, I would advise you write a will. And the will, you can give anything. I love shoes. I can give shoes out. You can give your hair. You can give your watches. It doesn't mean you have to have an estate or you have to have cars. Some little things like even cloth. People give out clothes. I've written wills where people give slippers. They are ahenema to people. That is what he feels is his legacy he can leave to his niece or nephew. So if you want to pass it down to a particular person and not have it being shared by some customary successor who doesn't even understand 2/3, 7, 9, as the PNDC law 111 says, kindly have a will or have a gift inter vivos, write it down, have witnesses or tell somebody, have an executor who will ensure that whatever you have stated or the legacy or wealth you want to leave will go to the right person. And as I'll borrow from my senior, train the children to be able to manage it, because we realize that some people leave estates and their children can't manage it. Even paying estate duty in court is a problem. So train your children also. Thank you.
Thank you. You can put your hands together for that. You know, said Richard Atta earlier said that those people you don't want to come and have a share in your properties, they are looking at you. They know. They know that you are doing things they know. Anyway, let's talk about this excessive needs and wants syndrome that has taken over so many young people these days. We all dream to own so much wealth, yet on the short term, we are consumed by our needs and wants. And we ask ourselves, how can we realize the skyscrapers, the money in the bank, whilst we can't even save a CD in an investment or whatsoever? Mimi, help us. How do we navigate this whole issue?
Unfortunately, when it comes to our finances, a lot of the time we think that we are our own person. We decide what we do. That's not true. We are influenced by people. So if you should sit down and think about why you bought the shoe you bought, it could probably be a friend said something, you watch something on TV, etc. So you have to check your influences. That said, in a cons, it says if you did a cons, you know that resources are scarce. You can't do everything.
Yes.
Even Bill Gates or Elon Musk can't do everything. I'm sure he would have bought Ghana if he had, So the truth is that our resources are scarce. We can't do everything. Because of that, there's a need to prioritize. And I always say that a lot of the time we let life happen to us. We don't sit down and think about, okay, what life do I want for myself and my family? So a friend has bought a car, so because of that, you buy into the pressure and buy the car. A friend has done some birthday party for their child, and you buy into that pressure. But if you should really sit down, you may realize that this is not who I am. I like to do A, B, and C. So why don't I sit down with my family, and why don't we prioritize that this is where we want the family to go? That said, when you are sitting down to prioritize, you have to look at yourself now or in the near future. What are the things I will need to achieve now or in the near future? And in the next 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, what are the things that we'll need to achieve? And prioritize, because as I said, it's not everything that you would want to do. You realize that some things are more important.
Yeah.
So once you do that, then you can ask yourself, what resources do I have available? And how do I allocate them to these areas? So maybe, to me, I worked in the pension industry before I moved and I did a lot of education. So I can't be found to be broke at 60. It's a priority for me.
Yes.
So if you check my finances, you see that a lot of money goes towards that side, because I've sat down to think about it. I don't want to be a signboard. They say, oh, did you see that girl who came to tell us this? Look at her, like, no. So because of that, I put a lot of effort into that. It's a goal for me. Another goal is my children. Like I said, I want to leave an inheritance for I want to be deliberate about that. So you would see in my budget that some money has been allocated. So if your budget is not matching what you really desire from life, then there's a problem. You are actually living somebody else's life for them. So look at what you desire. Also, make sure that you are not focusing too much on today's needs at the expense of tomorrow. Because as you are praying for long life, tomorrow will definitely come. Are you going to be okay tomorrow? And the great thing about tomorrow is that you may not necessarily need to put in too much effort at once. If I need a car now and I haven't, planned for it, I may need to do a job that will bring me. Now you need like 200,000 to be able to buy that car. But if I need a car in the next 20 years, I can put in a little effort. And if you do it well, taking into consideration that in Ghana, inflation and all the currency depreciation, you'll get to the 20 years and you'll be able to achieve that. You understand? So you don't want to let go of the opportunity of time because you were too focused on all your needs today. So prioritize. It's not everything that you need. Some of us just need cars that move. We don't need a 4-wheel drive. Let's be realistic.
Put your hands together for me, please. Yeah, and I believe that you sitting here today have gotten that understanding that, okay, I think it's important to protect what I have. The least I have. What do you have? Shoes, clothes, and a whole lot more you have to protect it. And the question is, so how do I protect it? What do I need to create protection for these legacy that I have that I want to keep for my next of kin? Let's talk to Mr. Ifa on what approaches or documents or strategies must we undertake to ensure that we safeguard these properties that we have acquired.
So for many of us, usually the thinking is that when we talk estate planning, gift planning, it is more of the one who has property, who has something to give. But many of us here are either beneficiaries or potential beneficiaries of somebody's estate planning. So you must also take interest in knowing that, okay, if my father is leaving some property for me, how do I ensure that truly I'm going to get it? And that is where the question comes in. That, so what are the documents? How is it done? So that when I see, I can be sure that, okay, so I'm safe with this particular thing. A friend invited me to work on his will. I asked him, okay, let's start. I'll need these things. So when you are ready, call me in. Then he said, oh, I have a daughter before marrying my current wife. And I have properties. Now, that daughter, the elder daughter, she's so quiet that I don't think she will fight for property when I'm no more. So I just want to take care of her. For my wife and children, they are fine. So I told him that then it's not a will you need per se. Make a gift to this child, and then you will the rest of your properties too, so that she knows that whilst you are alive, I have taken over this. So there are different approaches to solving the same estate planning questions. And as a young person, you should be interested. So we are talking about giving back and giving forward. So as a young person, you should be interested. The accounts have a saying that if your parents have started a business, you shouldn't be thinking about you going to also start a new business. It's about joining hands in making sure succession is planned so that you continue where your parents are. So one, at the heart of estate planning and give are three major documents that we need to look at. The first one is the will that we talk about. We also have trust. Now, a will is the document itself. That's the will. So in a will, you, the one who owns the property, you are sharing it to certain beneficiaries directly. That when I'm no more, my daughter called Emma should have my mobile phone, my Samsung mobile phone. I'm using small items that we can understand. And my son called Kuku should have my gun. You get me? So you are sharing the properties. That is a will. Now, essentially, a will must be signed by the one who prepared it and witnessed by two people who, in the presence of the one making the will and in their own presence, saw each of them sign. So you don't prepare a will, you sign it, and then you go and look for witnesses to come and sign, like normally we do. That's what we normally do. We sign document, and we now look for the witnesses to come and sign. But for a will, the witnesses should have seen you sign the will. And when they are also signing as witnesses, you should have seen them. If this is breached, the will fail. It will not be admitted to probate. That is the fundamental thing you should see in a will. Then, with wills, anything that comes under the signature of the testator don't count again. So if you make a will, after you sign, you, the one making the will, you are called the testator. After you sign, anything else, any donation, any gift that comes under your signature don't count again. It should be up and above your signature. So I'm saying this for us because, like I mentioned, as a beneficiary, you should be interested. So that if you find your mother's will and the donation that has been made to you are under her signature, you know that you are not getting anything. Because whatever is under the signature of the testator don't count again. So then you can politely find a way to draw your attention that the little education, I attended some conference, estate and gift planning conference, and this is what they said. So I think that this thing you've done in your will is bad if you can change it, you see. Because you are going to be the beneficiary, and you should be interested to know that what is being given to me will actually come to me. Yes. So that is it about the will, and we also have trust. Mr. Arthur explained the trust. That with the trust, the management of the estate or the property is given to a third party known as a trustee. But the benefit is enjoyed by the same beneficiary. So I've done wills for people who tell me that I'm doing this will purely because of my second born. He's too troublesome. And he's the only one I feel that he will not be too responsible if I'm not around. And this is the only reason why I'm doing the will. So when you feel that, this son will not be responsible, he is having issues with substances, alcohol, and things. However, you still want to take care of him. In those instances, you can create a trust. Give the management of the asset or the property to a responsible person. And let the son, the troublesome son or child, enjoy the benefits. So then you create a trust. Now, trust too are also used where the estate is vast. Where the estate is vast, you don't use wills. You use trust. Another reason why trusts are used is where you want to keep everything private. When you make a will, along the line, it will become public because the executors have to go to court to, have it admitted to probate. And court proceedings are public. Anybody can apply for a copy and say, I want, copies of these documents. And the court will supply. So sometimes for privacy, people wanting to keep everything private out of public view, they go by trust, create a trust, and put everything, the management and the ownership to the trustees, and let the benefits be enjoyed by their own, chosen people. So this, and then insurance products are also very key in going about estate planning. And the interesting thing with insurance is that you don't pass insurance on through wills and trust documents. With insurance, it goes by the beneficiaries, the named beneficiaries. So assuming you take up an insurance product and we say that when I'm no more, my first son by name Adam should have whatever I have accumulated in the insurance. That is what you have told the insurance company, and that is what is in their records as your beneficiary. And in your will, you say, I have an insurance product with so and so company. Whatever I have there, I give it to my sister by name so and so. You see, what you have given the insurance company as your beneficiary takes precedence over what is in your will. And so that's the good thing with, estate, using insurances to pass on your wealth or your estate. It is what you name as whoever you name as your beneficiary who gets the estate. So that one, whether they are fighting over the will, they are not fighting, it doesn't affect it. And it is same with even SNIT, our mandatory SNIT contributions and everything. Once it's insurance, we go by whatever is the beneficiary in the insurance document. So insurances are also very good to use. And then we talk about the deed of gift, where you want to make a gift in a written form, you go by deed of gift. You can also make a gift by customary means, where you only have witnesses. You see that, look, this, my phone, I'm giving it to, and you call a few people to serve as witnesses and you pass it on. That is also accepted and is done in our society. So you are going by deed of gift if it is a gift or customary gift with witnesses. And asida, when you receive a gift, you have to do thanksgiving. It's a requirement of the law. If you do not show that you have thanked the donor of the gift to you, it's not valid. And you see, one funny thing is that one of the ways of thanking the donor of the gift is to enjoy the gift. So merely going about enjoying the gift is enough thanksgiving. So I give you a phone. In my presence, you are calling Ama with the phone. You see, you are enjoying the phone. That is asida enough, and it's accepted. So there must always be a form of thanksgiving to show that the oral gift is valid. And then we've talked about wills, we talk about deed of trust or trust deed. if you want to create a trust. Like now I've explained some of the circumstances where we create the trust. You talk about insurance product. Ibrahim is here. You see him. He will tell you what you need to, have sign on to some insurance product. These are the common document that we should look out for.
You should put your hands together for our speakers thus far. And this very moment, we will now come to you for you to also share your questions. All right. So our speakers will go for a short water break. Just drink some water whilst you get ready for questions that will be coming from our audience at this moment. So initially today, we were talking about the insurance, the wills, and you were telling us your uncertainties, your fears, and a whole lot more. Now the microphone is back here again. You've heard them. They explained it further. Now, do you want an insurance policy or not? What do you think? So tell us what's your fears now, your initial fear. Any question you want to ask to get to know more about insurance?
So now I think I would like to have an insurance. Yes.
Put your hands there for her, please. Let them come to my friend who wants to also have $1 million before she could do a will. What do you think?
Okay, after listening to all the lectures, I believe having an insurance is important. So it saves my family from any disputes, and it also leaves a legacy for my grandchildren and the family.
She's a generational thinker. Generational thinking. But you know, yes, sir.
Okay, I want to thank you for the information. I just have a few questions. You mentioned that there can be an instance where a beneficiary of a will is deemed irresponsible or is seemed not to be someone that can appropriately manage this will. I've heard there's an instance where you can actually put like a condition, like this person has to change. So let's say he's an alcoholic. Can you put it in your will that this person has to undergo therapy and come out of the alcoholism before he inherits the will? That's my first question. And then my second question is, you mentioned trust, and trust can be any person that is responsible. I want to ask, what are the criteria for someone to qualify as a trustee? Because you can't just give your hard-earned money to someone to serve as a trustee. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So we can note the questions now. If we have a few, we'll just respond to them. Thank you very much. See someone behind. Well, let's hear from you.
Okay, with my question, I heard an inheritance can be given to a trustee. Yes, in my case, the inheritance was given to the person. The person was managing and giving to whoever the income must be given, but the beneficiary. But as the man died, he didn't tell his relative actually what they were enjoying wasn't his, and he died. So his children took over without taking care of the person who was supposed to inherit the thing. So with that one, what can the person do?
Thank you. I don't know. Is it clear? Okay.
So with the insurance too, what people think is that when they make an insurance for a property, unless damage occurs, for instance, for a house, unless damage occurs, they are not going to get anything. So what about that one too? Because some people fear that they put their money in insurance and nothing of that sort occurs. And it's like the insurance company will take the money. So what about that one too?
And now, what happened to your money? Okay.
So I want to ask about gift tax. I've always heard something called gift tax. So I want to ask the process of paying gift tax and what kind of item would warrant somebody to pay gift tax. Because I mean, we are all talking about gifts. What if I get a gift and they say I should pay gift tax? How do I go about it? And what do I have to do? Thank you.
Thank you. This is from the people. Uh-huh.
I wanted to ask that if someone dies interstate, okay, and probably after the funeral rites and everything, the family successor accepts to give every estate, whatever, to surviving spouse and children. What happens after that? What is required of this, the surviving wife and then the children? Thank you.
I also want to understand this. If a trustee is given and then he's supposed to take care of the beneficiary, and along the line he stop, what should the beneficiary do? Especially if the beneficiary is a minor, what will he or she do if the trustee failed to take care of the beneficiary?
Thank you. In fact, we have gathered enough questions. I don't know if there's any other question again. All right. So I believe that you were able to note down the answer. So I will start with Ibrahim. Do start first. Yeah. So you say your part of it, and then we can do it all too. Mr. Ifa.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm glad that there wasn't much insurance questions because, insurance has such a bad name, quote unquote, in this part of country. But I don't blame citizens because perhaps we've not done our part in ensuring that the right claims are paid when they are due. The question that came was about you buy an insurance policy, and when the risk doesn't occur, the money is not paid to you. Mm-hmm. That is essentially the fundamental reason of insurance. Insurance is to provide financial benefit to you when a risk occurs, right? But there are a number of insurance policies that are available. So we have risk policies. Risk policies, for instance, a death policy. If you buy a death insurance for like your parents, yourself, your kids, it means that you're only buying the insurance policy to cater for your financial, standings when you pass away. So when you buy, they will tell you, okay, when you pass away, they will give your beneficiary, say, 10,000 or 20,000. You can't come back and say, I want the money because I'm not dead yet, because you bought the policy, for the risk to occur. There are also insurance policies that are meant for investment as well. So for instance, you buy an insurance policy and they give you what they call sum assured. When you save for 10 years, you are going to get this amount, right? So it means that you are saving for the 10 years, and when the 10 years is up, they will provide you with a sum assured amount or a lump sum amount. And there's pension. People don't see pension as an insurance policy, but pension is supposed to provide you with financial benefit when you hit your retirement age. And so when you save towards your pension, and when you hit the retirement age, you'll be given a lump sum from given a monthly pension from SNIT, and a lump sum from the pension company or the corporate trustee as well. So the fundamental issue is when you're buying an insurance policy, just be clear in your mind what policy you are buying. If you buy a property insurance and it covers fire, accident, or natural disaster, it means that the risk would have to happen before the benefit is paid to you. Now, insurance companies are coming up with a lot of innovative solutions where if risk doesn't happen for a certain number of years, a percentage of your contribution is paid back to you, which is called a payback. So there are a number of insurance companies, if you buy, say, a vehicle insurance, a comprehensive insurance, right, and that particular year, you don't have any accident and don't enjoy the benefit. In the subsequent year, when you are going to buy the insurance, they discount it for you because your risk profile is reduced. And so there are a number of insurance policies you can buy, but make sure you are asking the right questions and ensuring that when the time is due, you get the benefit that is due you. And I believe that those misconceptions would reduce significantly. I believe I've answered your question.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
So maybe you want to add up?
So for me, I'm a financial planner. I believe so much in insurance. I've had an accident before, a very weird one, and it was going to cost me 16,000, to fix this car. Now that money would probably come from an investment. Maybe I was planning for a vacation. That means I'm not going anywhere. You understand? But because because I've insured the car, and there's comprehensive, not third party. When the accident happened, even though it took a while, I was given the money, I fixed my car, and we are back on the road. And a lot of the time, I don't know, we like to see it as we've given our money, we've not gotten anything, but that peace of mind, that should anything happen. And, if you build a house, a lot of Ghanaians take so many years to get to the house. If fire burns or something happens to the house, and you have to start from scratch, that's a problem, number one. Number two, a lot of the time when the thing happens, you wouldn't have paid enough, for that house to be built again. So the insurance company is taking on a risk. And sometimes insurance is defined as like a sort of like a welfare fund. Those of us who are in companies that are paying welfare fund, we say, we've not gotten anything, you've not given birth, nobody is dying, you've not married, and you are arguing with somebody else, we are all contributing, but there are other people that the thing is happening to. So it becomes like we are all sort of like supporting them when it's your turn. So it's not an investment where you put in money and you are expecting that whatever you put in, is what you are, plus interest is what you are getting. With insurance, it's to protect you so that you can have the peace of mind that should anything happen, you are fine. That's the rule of insurance.
And now to our legal officers in the house who help us answer these legal issues. We'll start from Dorothy. Briefly, okay. Okay, so I think we can have brief responses so we can wrap up. Thank you.
So I'm talking about the conditional will, where you stated that can conditions be put in a will? Yes, conditions can be put in a will. And for some testators, that is those who write a will, they can even choose not to give anybody, one particular person, something. And usually they write the reasons why they won't give that particular person. I did a will where the testator wrote about how he has spent on the son who was a drunkard, and he recounted every money he has spent and the places he had taken him to try to get back on track, and he didn't. So he wasn't benefiting from the will at all. And others too can put it that maybe you should get to this age before you benefit. And that one is the duty of the testator to make sure that you meet the condition and then you benefit. Or the executor to make sure that you meet that condition and then you benefit from it. And then we have another question from someone who asked that after the interstate is gone and properties are shared, what's next? So after that, the administrators of the interstate estate must prepare a document we call vesting assent. There they will state the property, who it is going to, and then the administrator will sign, and then the other person will sign. You have it registered with the Lands Commission, stamped and everything, and then it becomes yours. So then that's assent, that's property has been vested. Vesting means they've given it to you, and there's a document that shows that it has been given to you. So that's...
All right. Let's also get a wrap from Mr. Ifa.
Yes, so I'm talking about what happens when a trustee dies. The legal principle is that you cannot pass on what is not yours. We call it the nemo dat principle. It's very common. You just hear the nemo dat principle. So once the estate is under a trust, the trustees don't own it. They are not the owners of the property. You see, so the trustee cannot say that I'm passing, my trusteeship to another person to. No, it is the one who set up the estate. We call them settlors. The settlor. It is the settlor that chooses the trustees. And so, if the trustee dies, the settlor can appoint another trustee. If the settlor does not appoint a trustee and you are a beneficiary, of the estate, let's say you are a child or a spouse and a beneficiary of the estate, you can apply to a court to appoint a trustee for the estate for you, because there was just one trustee and that person is gone, and the court will appoint a trustee for you. There are also registered trusts. We have the Trustees Incorporation Act. So for safety, and under that law, once a trust is registered, it becomes a body corporate. I don't know if you are familiar with the principle of body corporate. So that one, whether the trustees are alive or not, is an organization. Let me put it that way. So the trust now becomes an organization. So you can, where you want to ensure that in the absence of the trustees, there is perpetuity, there is succession, then you go to the Registrar General's Department and have the trust registered under the Trustees Incorporation Act. And it becomes a body corporate. So at any point in time, managers can be appointed just to see to the trust. But then it continues even after the death of the person. Now, should the son or wife of any of the trustees take over any of the properties thinking that it is for their father, you only need to draw their attention that this thing don't belong to your father. If they insist, you have to speak to a lawyer to take them on, because once it is not for their father, they cannot take it. That's the principle. Yes. Now, gift tax.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, when you receive a gift in excess of a certain amount, you see, you will pay a gift tax on it. I think now the rate is 5% or so. For tax, the tax people will come to you. Don't worry. They will come to you. But one of the key considerations in every estate planning is tax implications. I didn't go there because I don't want us to complicate the discussion. Yeah, so if you receive a gift from your father, let's say a house, because the value is in excess of the minimum, you definitely have to pay a gift tax to the government. But I'm saying that with taxes, the taxman will come to you. There's also what is called self-assessment in tax administration. You can also go to the taxman and say, look, I want to pay the tax. I've come. You understand? You can go to them and say that I've received a gift from my father. I want to pay the gift tax on it. That is what Akufo-Addo will say, be a citizen and not a spectator. You want to be a good citizen by going to the taxman to pay your tax. That's how it works. It's a flat rate. Once you pay, that is it. You are done.
Very well. Put your hands together for our speakers. They've well addressed the issues, and we wrap the session. Okay, so you can have the time to engage them. So afterwards, you can engage them and then have further discussions with them. Because of time constraints, we can't do so much. So please forgive me if they skipped your question. You can meet up with them and they'll help you. So we can do it again for them, not for them. So you can take your seat later on, sure. So moving on to our next item is to invite